All right.
Damned embarrassing.
Now, if you are listening as a patron member, you're getting this raw. Come on, baby.
And that's how they like it.
Yes. Yeah.
Extreme, sir.
Yeah.
Extreme.
So, see,
Damned embarrassing.
now, if you are listening. So anyways, we were just checking our feed if you heard some feedback there. Because if you're seeing this raw, like you are, or you're listening in the back end of your Patreon account, it's because we appreciate you so very much that we're doing 2 episodes back to back. Although this one isn't live, we are recording it and streaming it to a unlisted link. And of course, we will be uploading that. We have, if you're listening to it, into the back end of your Patreon account. So you get the episodes months before the regular listening public. So just another way we're providing benefits to you. So that's why you're just going to hear it raw. This is not going to be edited up or anything. And you're going to see us get going here and all that kind of stuff, a little behind the scenes. It'll be all polished perfectly, of course, when it comes out in regular. Lurch over there, as you can see on camera, will do his audio producer magic.
Audio.
So yeah, so we'll get some things dialed in here and we will get going. Hey Bikeaholics, Zero 3D has a wide variety of innovative products for your Harley-Davidson and the brand new line for the all-new Honda Goldwings named Gold Strike. I like gold. Top quality, affordable chrome lighting and comfort products. Zero Gold Strike are the motorcycle LED lighting innovators for CAN, bus, plug-and-play system compatibility. Head over to lawabidingbiker.com/store and check out our full line of Zero 3D products. All right. Patron message. I kept it anonymous just because of the nature.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I look forward to this.
Didn't want to. So he writes, I wanted to drop you a message and tell you thank you for all of the content you and the lab have put together. In August, I got back into riding after a few years off. Moving from a sport bike to a Harley Ultra has been an interesting experience.
I would imagine.
All I can say is that I wish I did this sooner.
Yeah, buddy.
Catching back up with the biking world, I stumbled onto your videos on YouTube. Instantly got hooked, subscribed, and well, here I am now on Patreon with hopes to support your efforts a little bit more.
Thank you, sir.
So here's the deal. I'm a firefighter with 27 years on the job. I am sure you can relate. I wish my brain would forget the things my eyes have seen over the years. I had a pretty rough call in September involving a young teenager that committed suicide. It hit me like a ton of bricks. Dealing with the parents and telling them the worst news they could ever hear. Taking some time off of work because of this call, I found myself sitting on the couch with zero motivation. Started watching some of your videos again and started really hanging on to some of your words. Get out there and ride. He's talking about my documentaries here for context. It frees your soul, he writes. And that's exactly what I did. Getting out of the house and spending several days off just riding did wonders for my spirit to ease my mind from some of the work pains. Your videos helped me get back into riding, get the bike I purchased up to maintenance specs, and eventually helping me get over a pretty gut-wrenching call. I do believe everything happens for a reason, and I wanted to personally say thank you for your content. Yes, it helps bikers figure out things on their own, and they are a pleasure to watch. I wanted to tell you it goes deeper than that, though. Your content has truly saved my well-being. Gives chills to me, Matt. Thank you for what you have done for the biker world, and stay safe on the streets when you're on the clock. My response.
Don't say the name.
Thanks for sharing. I can definitely relate to a lifetime of things I can't unsee and the effects they have had on my mind and soul. It's kind words like this and the support of the biker community that keeps me going, putting out content. Knowing that I am helping and inspiring bikers makes all the long hours and work worth it. I'm so glad to hear you're out riding. The motorcycle is the best shrink around. Always there, and you don't need an appointment. Ride safe, my brother. Take care of yourself, and thanks for your support.
That is awesome.
It really, I'm not kidding. It gives me chills.
It does for me as now having 25 years on. In my younger days, when you think you're bulletproof and nothing will affect you, you can blow it off. Usually not in the healthiest ways. And as you get older, it starts to compound a little bit. And maybe it's just getting older and a little bit wiser. You realize that we need to take care of our mental well-being. And I think in law enforcement and military, hopefully, and firefighting, that we're a little bit smarter with that. But to know that what we did, and I think I've mentioned
the films.
I think I mentioned this to you before. The first time I watched the documentary, and we're in particular when we're doing the going to the Sun Road, and you're talking about how you're feeling. I said, yeah, that is awesome. That's unique. You're talking about how you feel in the moment, and it took me right back there. And we have so many comments from folks like this that have watched them and said, I feel like I was right there riding with you guys. So yeah, it touched me a little bit too. And I'm glad that what we're putting out not only helps people just fix their bikes or put some kind of accessory on, but helps them get to a better place. And there's no better place than getting out riding, because once you got your knees in the breeze, it does, free your soul. And any stress that I've had, once I get on the bike and ride, man, I lose it. That wind hits you and life's good.
You got no problems.
Mm-hmm.
You're well said, man. And good follow-up, Lurch. Thank you. Want to ride longer? Tired of a sore and achy ass? Then fix it with a high-quality butt buffer seat cushion. Head over to lawabidingbiker.com/store and check out our lineup of butt buffer seat cushions. Oh, yeah. Once you've had Rick Rack, you'll never go back. The ultimate motorcycle luggage rack solution, I guarantee it. Forget those messy straps and bungee cords. Go strapless with a Rick Rack quick attach luggage system and quality bag. Head over to lawabidingbiker.com/store and get hooked up now. Here we go. Hang on for this one, Bikeaholics. Tell you what. Welcome back, you freaking Bikeaholics. That's right. This is the podcast for the motorcycle majority, also known as the
99%
large and in charge of the motorcycle scene more than any time in history. By being here, by listening, by being involved. That's right. You're part of what we call
#Biker Revolution.
Nice. Oh, we do have just one question for you before we get started, Bikeaholics. Mount up and let us
take you on another wild-ass ride.
There you go. Ryan Urlacher here, your host of the Law Abiding Biker podcast and your
high-tech redneck.
There you go. It is the man, the myth, the legend. Lurch in the house.
What up?
For episode 2, because we're batch processing. And we did one live and then had some wonderful pozole.
Oh,
that
delicious.
My wife made up. It is delicious. And she makes a good batch. And Lurch had 3 bowls. I wasn't counting.
2 1/4.
2 1/4. All right. He enjoyed it. And I enjoyed it.
I knew that I was not going to get my hands on it anytime soon. So I definitely overindulged, but it was worth the pain.
I agree. So we're a little lethargic, but nonetheless, we're gonna get going here. Yes. And of course,
it was supposed to be a.
There you go. That's what I feel like. Exactly what I feel like. And again, this episode, if you're hearing it in a regular podcast format, of course, if you're a patron member, you got this episode months early, uploaded into the back end of your account. And so we appreciate the continued support of patrons, our beloved patron members. That's one benefit. And we're going to keep coming at you with that and try and get you all these episodes early. But nonetheless, if you're listening regular public, of course, we'd love to have you involved too. And so here we go. Today's main topic. And we get a lot of questions about this. So let me tell you this up front. You may or may not be interested in this based on the title. There's going to be some bikers that have no interest in this, and that's cool. But I will tell you that we also get as many questions as we don't. And so I try to cover subjects. Yes, it's more of a techie type podcast, but it is related to motorcycles and, maybe what some bikers are interested in. Not everybody. It's like everything. We can't please everybody. So this is going to be specifically on motorcycle. It's number one, it's flying drones. If you've ever had an interest in that or getting, tracking or getting shots of motorcycles or scenery, or anything for your personal use. Of course, I use it commercially because, you're here for Law Abiding Biker Media and the documentary films I make and the other YouTube videos. And then, to further that, I'm also flying police drones, so I'm in charge of that program. So I have a lot of experience around drones, so hopefully it qualifies me to talk about this. But we're going to talk about equipment, maybe a good beginner drone, what's involved, what you need to be aware of regulatory. Now, we're not going to go through everything, but we're going to go through you can't just go buy a drone and fly it, folks. I'm sorry. You can, but you're actually breaking the law in a lot of ways. So you can take that for what it's worth. I'm going to break that down a little bit for you, but maybe if it's any interested, it'll give you an idea that you don't have to break the bank to get started. And there's some things you'll want to know so that you do it right.
And saying that, I'll say this is, when GoPros and whatnot came out, it was not a cheap proposition to get into, and not a lot of people are doing it. But now there's a lot of GoPro stuff that's on YouTube and other things. And now, as you said, you can get into it at a reasonable price. People are starting to want to step up their game and create better videos. And if they've seen a law-abiding biker documentary, they know they need some drone shots. So I think there's going to be more people that are out there that are interested in this than we think. Mm-hmm. So I think it's going to be a very useful podcast.
And what I'm about to tell you is either going to make you want to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Or realize that it's a lot of
either do
stuff
it or don't
you have
do
to
it.
get involved with, depending on what route you're going to go. Because it's not like just buying a remote control car and going and running it down your driveway. It's regulated by the FAA, and it's ever changing, and there's licenses depending on, again, I'll get into this. But so, yeah, you're either going to go, yeah, that's why I'm not doing it. Or that's why I'm interested in, and I'll go ahead and I'm willing to do that to make it work. And, not everybody is a creator, YouTube creator, a documentary film type guy, but some people just want it for their personal arsenal. I just like to take beautiful shots, or I just want to get a cool shot to picture to post, on Instagram or whatever. So it kind of, So hopefully it's interesting to some of you, and maybe some of you have never even thought about it. And now you will. I don't know. But Lurch here is literally just going to pick my brain because I have years of knowledge stored up here, having all that background and what I do, and currently doing the police stuff too. So I have a lot of knowledge that's locked up in here, and Lurch is going to try to extract it.
I will do my best
without me getting too far in the weeds, because I can talk tech. I could do a whole nother tech podcast. I could talk tech and cameras and, just production. So we'll try to keep it narrowly focused to what you as a beginner will want to know. Fair enough?
Fair enough.
Now, we have a new free video.
Do we?
Yes, sir. We always got new free videos, and this has been out for a little bit, but we will mention it. And if you're interested, I tested, in fact, the last live episode we did on all the gear, we tested during our Sturgis trip. These are some jeans I tested, and actually Lurch tested these too, so this is a good one. So this video, I tested the Climb K52 protective motorcycle riding jeans. Lurch did the K52 jeans. One, sorry. So he did the one, and there's only one difference. That's the cut. I'm not going to say any more than that. If you want to learn more about those protective Kevlar riding jeans with armor in them, we did test them. We loved them. I will put it in the show notes. But again, you can search the YouTube channel for Climb K50. That's just the letter K and then 50. Or you can just search the YouTube channel or the website, or you can just put in protective motorcycle riding jeans, and you'll get every motorcycle riding jean review I've ever done. And of course, Climb is the newest one, so it will pop up first theoretically. Also, put it in the show notes, lawabidingbiker.com/whatever episode number this ends up being, is how you always get the show notes and links to everything we talk about. Love our sponsors. our regular sponsors, Cyril, Butt Buffer, Rick Rack, but these folks are also sponsors of this episode and other episodes. They're some of our newest beloved patron members.
We have Mike Klein of Katy, Texas, and Mike is a top-tier patron. David Ward of Meriden, Idaho, and Richard Jennings of Portland, North Dakota, also top tier.
Moving on with Joe Palazzolo of Lombard, Illinois, Eric Lipke, top tier, and Ernie Thompson of Frontenac, Kansas.
Robert Shuttles of Espanola, New Mexico, Andrew Francis of Greenwood, Indiana, top tier, and Kevin Barnes of Knoxville, Tennessee, also a top-tier patron.
Lawabidingbagger.com/Patreon, Patreon, pledge a certain amount per piece of content. No risk to you because you can put a monthly cap. There are awesome benefits. We're always expanding on that, but t-shirts, stickers, you can get in the private Facebook group. It is a forum, a troll-free zone. It's a safe zone. You can get access to podcast episodes like this months before everybody else, access to our live video broadcast and chat, and up to access to our premium videos upon request for all those top tier members. And thank you. We love our patrons and supporting us, and we are trying to support you back. All righty, let's do this thing. You already know the main topic.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk. Let's just kick back and talk some drones. All right. Do you want to start this?
Yeah, I guess the first question I got to ask if I'm new to having a drone is, how do I get started? You know, what do I need?
Okay. So I'm going to say some things and feel free to expand on that.
I will.
Because I could answer that question. That could take me 45 minutes. So
I'm just getting into it. I've never bought a drone.
Yes.
I like the footage. What do I need?
As far as equipment, or what do you need as far as a license, or what do you need as equipment money?
Only. Let's start with equipment. What do I need as equipment to get started with a decent drone? So what do I need as far as a drone, software, maybe hardware like laptop type stuff? Let's stay away from licensing, as far as a pilot's license, all that kind of stuff. Just as far as hardware, software, what do I need to get started?
Okay. So I will start by saying this, and I will, Lurch, try to dumb this down a little bit, because I could get into specific camera specs and frame rates, 60 frames per second, 4K, what's the bit rate? That's for like prosumer. So some of you would know that, depending on if you're into cameras. So I'll say things like,
how about
it's a better camera. It's going to take a better, I'll try to use terms like it's going to take a better quality image. Mm-hmm. It's going to give you some more leadway in post-production, but I'll use very general terms.
Let's stick to the guy starting out.
I know, but that makes a difference.
It does.
It makes a difference on what kind of camera. So, but
we almost always start with something and then either scale up or scale down. So, and if your input is don't go cheap because you're just going to replace it right away and go higher, awesome. You can share your experience, so that might tailor your answer a little bit. But the average guy out there, what do you recommend he or she start with, and why? Because there probably is cheaper stuff you can start with, but it's not good quality. So I'm thinking, for me, give me a kind of a setup, or what do I need to get started that is good quality?
Okay. First, we need to differentiate between FPV drones. Okay.
What's that?
Okay. And then I'm going to say the other one that I'm going to break.
Okay.
So FPV drones, and then more drones that are going to give you, like, how do I say it? More stable and more for really filming. Okay. So
fast versus
right. So what an FPV drone is, you can get them really cheap. They're very fast. They're very light. They're little. They're not going to fly in high winds. Okay. For the most part. So these are these little ones that sound like this, and they're flying all over and they do crazy tricks. An FPV is like a first person view drone. You basically strap a GoPro to it. That's how people get their shots. Now they're really cool and they get some amazing shots because you don't care if you crash them as much because they're not that expensive. And you can go, like, under through rails. You see guys racing them.
Yes.
Racing.
Okay.
That's,
all right.
Yeah. Sorry, I should have said that first. You see there's FP and they have the goggles. Okay.
It's performance and speed versus
Well, you're just
video.
Yeah, but you're not going to take those drones and fly them in high wind.
No.
Most of those races, a lot of them are indoors. So it has limitations. It's a good way to learn though, because it's cheap. You can crash it, you can replace it, and you really have to learn how to fly. It doesn't have GPS systems to keep it stable. We're going to talk about that. It doesn't have GPS to keep it in one place like a lot of the drones that I fly do, although you can take them out of that modes. It's a very agile, easy to crash, high speed. The batteries last like 5 to 8 minutes and it's dead. They use these like LiPo batteries, which it's a whole different industry. A lot of them you build. You get parts and you build them. It's a real interesting industry. And honestly, I love FPV drones. I have no time. I watch videos all the time and I watch builds as I'm a geek, but I don't have any time between lab and my full-time job to do an FPV drone. But they could add a lot of value to lab because you can go they go into the bows of boats while they're and you just fly around and you can fly through windows. As long as it's the police agencies are using FPV, and I want to get we're not using FPV yet. We're using the other drones, which we'll talk about. But FPV drones for police, you can go through a window as long as a hole that's the size of a golf or a softball. So you can get in places, and you can fly around indoors and you can whip around through closets and you can search the hell out of a house with those. I can do that with some of our products too, so that's an FPV drone. You can buy a lot of Best Buy, they're cheap, they're total knockoffs, but for $100 and at least it gets you involved a little bit. Now they're not stable. A lot of them you can only fly indoors, but those are FPV. You strap a GoPro to them if you want to get footage. Otherwise you just fly them.
Should a guy start with one of those to get used to flying a drone and get good at it before you get to a nicer one, or
I don't know.
Okay.
And I think that's something based on what I'm going to say that a guy will have to make a decision on what he wants. But I just wanted to mention those because it's a whole nother industry and I'm totally for it. And there's even non-FPV drones, like you've seen them at like Best Buy or, you see them online on Amazon for $100.
Yeah.
At least it gets you a little taste. Now it's not going to be stable and it doesn't have GPS and you're probably going to crash it and all this kind of stuff. But it gets you at least a flight controller in your hand and some semblance if you want to do it. Now, that's the cheapest route.
Right.
Now, FPV, you can actually get fairly expensive, but that's like pro type stuff, the racers, but you can get a lot of FPV stuff. The problem is there are a few kits, and I think behind the scenes, DJI, one of the main drone manufacturers, is working on an out of the box, because I watch like rumors and stuff. I think they're working, I'm excited for it because I think they're working on an out of the box FPV drone because it just gives you a whole different type. It can be cinematic in a different way. It's more action cinematic. Like if you look up YouTube videos on FPV drones, dude, these guys are flying up the side of buildings and they're coming down and they're doing loops as they're coming down. It's like a fighter pilot, dude. And they're whizzing under bridges. And one guy flies it and he goes under a train while it's going and flies into one of the cars and then backs out. It's crazy shit. And it gives a totally different, they use them wakeboarding, they can fly under the rope and the wakeboarder and they can circle them and do these maneuvers that are they're acrobatic, crazy maneuvers. And you're getting some GoPro footage. They're strapping GoPros to them. So, all right, I don't want to go.
But a lot less stable.
Completely unstable.
Okay. All right.
Like those drones don't just hover in place for you. They have no GPS. Like you're on the sticks all the time. It's what we call ATTI mode. On the drones that I fly, it's attitude mode, where it's going to drift with the wind. It's going to the weather. It's not just going to stay and lock onto a satellite. If you take your hands off the sticks, it's going to go where it wants and it's going to drift and you have to fly it. You have to be 100% the pilot.
Gotcha.
There's no fail safes. Even the experts crash those things all the time.
Makes sense.
But it gets you into it again at a lower price. But just be aware, you might have to have a little technical knowledge because a lot of them are builds, unless DJI comes out with this out of the box FPV, which I can't believe nobody has done because that industry is booming. If you look at YouTube and stuff, The FPV is out of control, man. So next we're going to move on to non-FPV drones, which are more, to give some brand names, DJI, Skydio, Autel. Trying to remember, there's some others knockoffs. I'll get to it, but let me look at this. I should have did this because I don't have these kinds of drones. Autel Robotics. Let's do this. I can't remember the name of it, but they came out with this.
The Dragonfish.
Yeah, they've got their Evo 2 series, okay, which was kind of hot to trot. So that's another contender. I've never flown an Autel. I've seen enough reviews that I'm not yet a huge fan of how they...
From a guy that doesn't know exactly what he's looking at, that looks kind of like your DJIs.
Yeah, they're kind of modeling,
similar.
Copying a DJI,
sure.
Yes.
The way they fold up and all that. Yeah, it looks similar.
Yes. So that's an option if you're into that. I'm not totally sold on that company yet, but they're getting better in my humble opinion. So that's the other kind of drone. And these drones are, you're generally speaking, you're going to spend a bit more. There's so many different models, but what you're going to get with this drone is out of the box in auto settings, an idiot can fly it.
Something that's hard to crash.
Well, it isn't if you're not going to do anything. Mm-hmm. Everybody, eventually, if you're flying, you're going to crash. If you're doing anything at all where you're going to try to get better or get better shots. This one, if you don't want to get better, you can literally just fly it straight up and let a GPS hover it for you and take a picture. So you can dumb it down as much as that. Because they have GPS. And so they're satellite. So when you if you have it in those modes, which we'll talk about some fail-safe stuff if we get to that, it's going to, as long as it has satellite locks, wherever you let off the sticks, that's where she's going to stay. It's not going to drift with the wind. If the wind tries to drift it, the GPS is going to tell it, you need to stay right there.
Yeah.
So that's why you see them there moving around in the air, because they're trying to hold their position.
Yeah, I've watched yours do that all the time.
Yeah.
I hadn't really put much thought into what's making it do that.
Yeah.
But I've watched it just sit there and hover. You know, you'll bring it up a little ways and it'll hover, and you're down messing around with settings and doing
Once
whatever
I'm getting on
else.
my camera, set as dial in.
Yeah, you're screwing around with stuff, and it's just sitting there hovering.
Yep.
It doesn't move, but I didn't realize that was all built into the systems and GPS and whatnot.
Yep.
I can see how if you didn't have that, then if the wind blows, it's going to send it down the road.
Yep. So that's kind of you can have zero experience and go at least launch it and fly it up.
From a layman, it sounds like you kind of want some of that stuff. I would, just starting out.
Yeah, I agree to a certain extent. But and this is good because you're asking questions, because we can go in different angles. So I agree. The problem is, and I teach this to, I talk about this a lot with the police guys. The problem with that is that now you're relying on systems that can fail. It's kind of like becoming a race car driver without learning how to actually run the race car, or autopilot in a jet, right? Jetliners have autopilot, but they also know how to fly when shit goes bad.
Yeah,
so if you get one of those, I strongly encourage people to learn, take it out of those safe modes. You can hack them. Some come with attitude mode, which is you get to fly it. And if you put it up in the wind, it's going to drift with the wind. And you really need to learn how to maneuver. And I practice that all the time. I take them out of all those systems. Shit happens. Satellites unlock. You get flyaways with some weird satellite or Wi-Fi interference. You need to know how to properly pilot. I think it's a safety thing. And I really am into safety when it comes to these things. So I'm not overly crazy about it like some people, but I do believe that that's great. And that's a problem. Costco has them right now. Costco has the Mavic Air 2s, or the Mavic Air Series 1. And the problem with that is guys walk in, right? What does Costco do? You buy shit you never knew you needed. Right?
They're in there for something else and went, oh, dude, that's a good price on the drone. Maybe I should buy one.
I've never thought about having a drone, but I'm gonna get me a drone because Costco has it. And the problem is, a lot of these people do no research. They have no problem, and it does put them in the air. but they're not prepared for anything that were to fail. And let me tell you, I will be the first to tell you that stuff fails. You're going to get a lost link. You're going to get a lost video feed. You're going to have, so you have to be able to get out of those things. And so I encourage you not just to do that. Don't be the Costco person that goes and get one and then goes and flies and doesn't do any research on any regulation. That's why we have so many regulations now, because unfortunately that happened. It's overkill now. I'll be the first to admit that, but it is the system we're in right now with the FAA. But hopefully things are, at least they're changing things daily. Okay. So
what do I need to get started?
Okay. So, well, I just told you. So now you get to decide. Do you want to go get an FPV?
No.
I've given you all that. Or do you want to go get this and then in addition, learn how to properly fly it? Now, pricing obviously plays a little bit of role into it.
Based on we're talking about biking and videoing. I don't think I want an FPV because I'm not going to be doing stunts and all that kind of stuff.
No, it would teach you how to fly.
Yeah.
So when you got one of these other drones, you'd be an expert, honestly.
Yeah. Who's got time for that? I guess I would. I'm just being honest. I think
some do, some don't.
Yeah, I'd rather the most recent one we talked about.
Yeah,
I would be interested in.
Right, the non-FPV.
Non-FPV.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's fair, and that's why I just want to give it out to be real, because everybody's in a different place. And so if you're going to go, we're going to stick, now that we've explained what FPV is. We're pretty much going to stay away from FPV just because everybody knows what it is. And I'm going to be the first to tell you, I know a lot about it because I'm a geek and I research it, but I've never flown FPV. And someday when I retire, it's going to be another hobby I take up too. And I actually want to incorporate them in.
You'd be down at the racetrack flying your FPV.
Well, I would just want to use it for cool
racing.
Motorcycle shots. That's what I want to do. For LAB is what I want it for.
Personally, as the guy that's on the bike a lot, I'd like you to have all the safety features so you can't run it into the back of me.
I'm gonna land that right on your
with
head.
With the drones that you have now, I've heard it close to me. I can hear it buzzing. I know you're close.
In total control.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm sure you're
Actually, once I was like, oh, God.
Yeah, damn near.
Thank God he had a helmet on.
Yeah, damn near hit me out here in front of the house.
I know, dude. So that is... So let's move away from FPV.
Okay.
And I agree with you for the most part. I think this is the way most guys are going to go with zero experience. Again, just make sure you practice how to fly it in attitude mode if you can hack it.
That makes sense.
Yes. Now, these don't come with attitude mode. We're hoping DJI changes that, because flying in attitude mode is the way you get out of a flyaway. Because usually a flyaway is because satellites is screwing up and your drone just starts flying away from you. Well, the best way to get out of that is to switch it to attitude mode, which our police drone has. And I've hacked my Mavic 2 Pro so that I can go into attitude mode, because it takes and gets rid of the GPS. And now I can just fly it back to me the way I, otherwise and you're flying
it based on what you're seeing in the camera.
Yeah.
First person
and line
view.
of sight of the drone.
FPV is okay.
Right.
First person view. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. You're looking in
either through the camera or looking at it.
And both, which is regulations.
Yeah.
Right. Is line of sight. Mm-hmm. You have to have your aircraft within visual line of sight right now is the rules. So you're both, however you're doing it, looking back and forth. What it does though, is it gets rid of the satellite so you can fly the damn thing and quit flying away from you without control. Mm-hmm. You just pop it in ATTI mode but now you're manually flying it. And you can actually, the wind and in attitude mode is pretty good sometimes, because if it's really windy, you can actually use the wind to your benefit and put it up and let it drift and just get a really cool cinematic shot with the wind drifting it. So, and not even using your, a bunch of battery or whatever.
Sure.
And fly it upwind and drift back towards you getting a shot. So there's some different use case scenarios there. So you'll have to look up that. It's always changing on how you hack that and stuff like that. So we're talking about those kind of drones. I'm not a sponsor for any of these companies. I would strongly suggest, and this just came out, Costco is selling out the DJI Mini 1, Series 1. Well, they just dropped on us, which is amazing for what it is. And that is the Mavic Mini 2. There's some reasons that I would I'm not saying the Mavic Mini 1 is bad, but this, for what it is, and newer, it has some things that are pretty spectacular compared to the 1. But the 1's a lot cheaper. So I can't say don't get it. I'm kind of nerdy. And so I'm always want the latest, greatest, right?
Really?
But most people, if you're just going to fly very short line of sight and you just want to dip your toes in the water, then go scoop up the Mavic Mini 1, the DJI Mavic Mini 1. Those are going to be some really good. They're small. They're light. They're under 249 grams. Foldable. The Mavic 2 has an amazing camera. The Mavic 1 or the Mini 1 is okay. But again, if you're just learning to fly some basic HD 1080 shots, you're not a geek like me and you don't need high quality 4K stuff, then it's fine as far as the camera goes. Again, I should suggest just if you can get a good deal on a Mini 1, for most of you, that would be fine. If you want a little bit better and the latest, greatest, then a Mini 2, because it does have a much more spectacular camera, 4K at 60, and it has OcuSync 2.0. And what that means is the old Mini 1, it flies off Wi-Fi signal, and between your controller and the bird, the drone, and so you don't get the range with Wi-Fi flying. You'll get a lot of more interference in and around cities with Wi-Fi signals. You're just not going to get the range. You can still go plenty far. For most of you, you could go plenty far. But that OcuSync that DJI does is really amazing, and it just gives you a whole bunch more range. You get less video feed blurps and less chance of loss of video feed and interference and stuff like that. It's a much more technical than that. But so those are the two reasons that you might bump to a Mini 2. All right. So does that give, now there's other drones too. If you want to move up a little bit more than that, then you would move up, which is what I have sitting behind us as our bottom end drone. It's like a backup. It's what you took to Sturgis as a backup drone, just in case something happened to our main bird. And that was the DJI Mavic Air 2, which is a spectacular, smaller, but it's bigger than the Mini, smaller than the Mavic Pro. It's a good bird. I've actually done, I don't know if you see those emails. I've actually done some commercial work. Companies hire me to take, and I actually got away with using it one day for some extra because I ran out of all batteries on my Mavic 2 Pro. We were running hard and one of my chargers screwed up.
So you whipped that one out.
I took it with I got some amazing 4K 60 shots with it. So it's a very capable bird. It's smaller, which is nice. It's a good flying bird. The Mavic Minis fly good, but they're small. The bigger the drone is, the better in the wind, right?
Sure. It makes sense to be more stable.
Yeah, more stable. They fly a little bit better. But for most of you, again, that would be, so that you could move up to the Mavic Air 2 is what I would suggest. And then let's do this, and then you can ask me. We'll go from there before I get in the weeds too far.
Hey, bikeaholics, searching for new and exciting motorcycle products? Zero 3D has the products you dream about for your bike. Check out their wide variety of innovative products for Harley Davidson and Honda Goldwing motorcycles. Zero 3D has got your back with chrome and black parts, lighting, and other comfort products. No modifying, cutting, grinding, or welding for an easy installation. That equals less time installing and more time riding. Zero 3D has a design team of riders with over 40 years of experience with a passion for design and innovation. Zero Gold Strike are the motorcycle LED lighting innovators for CAN bus plug-and-play system compatibility. They pride themselves on great customer service. Got a question? Get in touch with them via email at sales@zero3d.com or give them a call at 715-808-0027. Check out your local Harley or Honda dealership and ask for Zero or Gold Strike parts. A new leader has emerged, so check out Zero 3D's custom line of Gold Strike products for the all-new Honda Goldwings. Better yet, help support us and head on over to lawabidingbiker.com/store and check out our full line of Zero 3D products.
Well done. And if I didn't mention, which I don't think I did, every bird or drone that I talk about, I will put links to it in the show notes for you. Some of them will be affiliate links to like B&H Photo, which I buy most of my gear from. Awesome awesome company, customer service. They know what they're talking about. Good, just as good of prices as anywhere else. Amazon, fast shipping. They're not a sponsor, but I use them. B&H Photo Video. I will, and I may have some other links too, but I'll link to them. No additional cost to you. But if you click through and end up purchasing one of these things that I talk about, then certainly we get a commission and helps put a little fuel back in our tank.
Keep us running on down the road.
There you go. All right, Lurch. So do you have another question, or should I? No,
it seems like you're still kind of talking about the best. What do you need to get started? What are the best drones? It feels like we're still in the kind of in the beginning of what we're looking for phase. So I talked about. Let me tell you the next. I'll tell you a couple others. It seems like you're definitely hot on the DJIs, and I am for manual flight. Yeah, I think we'll get cinematic into that. Shots. And it seems like a lot of folks do. I mean, DJI seems to be one of the most popular. They are good prosumer quality. And consumer. Right. Yep, they are absolutely, bar none. They got a lot of quirks, but they're good for the most part, like everything. Right. They're So the next one that I fly with a lot, and is probably one of my favorites for what we do. Again, I could go in the weeds on this, but for what I need is the Mavic, DJI Mavic Pro 2. There's the Mavic Pro Zoom, which has a zoom camera on it. This is the Mavic Pro 2, which doesn't have a zoom, but it has a Hasselblad camera on it. And what? Hasselblad. You might need to explain that. Is that a brand? It's a brand of really awesome lenses. Okay. They did a lot of stuff for NASA and stuff. So that's the one that I prefer most of the time on that we take. Moving up from that or somewhere similar is like a Phantom 4 Pro 2, or there's some different versions. I forget. I personally don't have one of those. I've flown them. They're good. They're not the foldable ones. So remember seeing the white? Yes. They're flat little white buggers. They still make that. Big old case, takes up a lot of room. But it has a money camera on it. And they're super stable. They're even more stable than the Mavic series. They're great flyers. You can pick them up. They're still producing some of those off and on DJI. A lot of guys like that camera for 3D mapping. But being that we're focused on motorcycles, it's going to be difficult. I have to fold. Yes. Yeah, we really do need a which is why I gravitated towards those. Right. Yeah, we're not taking that. We can barely fit the camera gear we have. So again, it's based on your needs. Those would be the drones that we're using around here for manual, which is again, it's going to depend on what you want. Is it for personal use? I think for most of you listeners, it's probably going to be for personal use or a little fun. I just like flying, even if sometimes I don't even film, I just fly, just to practice. But, if it's more production value stuff, like I do, that's why I prefer to manually fly and manually get shots, because I can get the shots exactly the way that I want them. And I can get the angles. You have so much more control, because we'll talk about some auto drone tracking stuff here. Now, DJI, I'll let you lead that conversation a little bit, but DJI does have technically auto tracking to a certain extent. I have a lot of knowledge on what works and what doesn't. My video I put out on this, which is a very popular video, I forgot to mention. If you want to see that, head over to the YouTube channel, type in Mavic Pro or Skydio, Skydio. I did a motorcycle motion tracking with drones, Mavic versus Skydio. And it got a lot of views. And I tested it both in street environment and a adventure environment. So if you're interested in that, I'm going to talk about it here on the podcast, but you really need to see that. And I really go over a lot of what we're going over today in a different way. So both listening to this and that video will be beneficial. But when we talk more about auto tracking, you would want to head over and see that video and maybe what would work for you. But you lose, as you'll find out in that video, you lose a lot of creative ability when you're relying on the drone to track you.
one
I would
example.
imagine your angles and how close you can get, and
Yes.
all that's going to be different in auto mode versus a manual mode.
Yes.
You can damn near hit me in the manual mode, and you can get a lot.
Circle around, do different things.
You can get different shots. More.
I can gimbal up.
As a creator,
yes.
As a creator, you got a vision of things you want to do. I think you have more opportunity to do that in a manual mode versus an automatic mode.
Yes. Very true. Very well said. It gives me 100% creative control. So I like the manual shots for that. But auto tracking drones do have their place, and they're getting more popular because it's really dumb, right? Like to set it and get it to at least follow you, and it does follow you. But one of the things you're talking about angles is, just to give you an example, it's going to be tracking at a constant, for the most part,
elevation.
And maybe I want to get that shot
the same.
right. Maybe I don't want, maybe it's too high and it's set and it's tracking and it's only getting you in the road 50 feet in front of you. Well, when I'm manually flying, while I'm following you, then I can gimbal up and put the camera gimbal up and then get a horizon and show where you're going. You're not going to do that with any auto tracking. It's kind of, and so but it has its place for quick shots. I use it. It has production value, and I do use those shots here at Law-Abiding Record Media, but they're quick shots, and you kind of have to accept some of what it gets.
When you say gimbal, do you mean, you're talking about like panning up?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I'm just...
Panning up, panning to the side. Yep. You know how I'll be following you, and then I'll start raising the gimbal to kind of, and you're just not going to get that with auto tracking. The gimbal's going to lock on you.
It's going to be locked in the same
shot.
The same shot.
Yep.
It's going to be the same.
Very true.
Okay.
So that's where you lose some of the creative. But if you just want some shots and you want to accept what it gets, and that's all you need, and sometimes that works for me in a pinch. I just got to go get some manual shots of gear reviews or whatever I'm doing. Then I'll certainly use some of those shots.
So so for your average guy
not DJI, but yes,
your average guy out there, is it better off to get a drone that's better at the auto tracking or better at manual? Better. Because it sounds like you're going down two different paths here. It sounds like there's one that's better for manual mode and one that's does better auto tracking.
It's true.
Or do you need both?
I do. You do. But I'm a production company, right? We are a production company. If you were
buying one, what would you settle on?
Then I would settle on one that I can fly myself better.
Okay.
That's really good in the air, flies great, comfortable sticks, great controls, great stability. That's going to be your DJI.
Okay.
Because think about it. Now the ones that are better at auto tracking also manually fly, which we'll talk about, but then the manual flight is less of a good experience.
Right.
So they both have, so you could get away, but it depends. If you just,
it'd be nice to have both, but I'm just curious, if you could only have one, which one would you prefer? And
starting out, that's what I would get.
And I'm thinking as a creator, you're going to prefer the one that's better in manual mode versus the auto tracking.
I agree.
Okay.
Yep. I agree. Yeah. And it depends. A lot of these guys may want to get it and get to go take some scenery pictures while they're on their motorcycle trip. Well, then you don't need auto tracking for scenery pics. You just want a good camera and a good stable drone, right? Auto tracking is very specific to what you're doing. And, and then you have to have experience. Auto tracking, watch my video. It is not what it's cracked up. If you think it's easy and you just set the drone, it is not. And I have to practice a lot to get the shots, even in auto tracking I do. There's so much technology behind it and settings. And, you have to be careful, and nothing's 100% obstacle avoidance. And it's a mess. I've flown it for years, and it's still, sometimes I get stressed a little bit because I'm like, and the software is always changing, and, updates and things like that. I constantly practice with my equipment to get better with it. So there is no drone that is perfectly just easy and you just throw it in the air and it starts flying by itself and it just does everything you want it to do and just follows you to the toilet and back and to kitchen and whatever.
I got to tell you though, I do not miss the white Velcro that you had on your streak light and on the Dyno Lowrider S. You had a setup where you could Velcro your controls on there,
just so it was easily accessible.
So it's on your gas tank, so you can look down and see what you're doing. But it
was mostly if I needed to pause at an emergency.
Okay,
that's all that was for, so that I would have access to pause if something went bad. I could pause it in an emergency. Yeah,
and then it'd just stop and hover.
Right, exactly. That's all. That was a fail safe, but I couldn't have it in a bag or a saddlebag. Yeah.
But you could have used black Velcro.
I could have.
Mounted on the black parts.
Right.
You had some white Velcro that
I did it to
stuck
annoy
out.
you.
Those two, finally, I got to clean them off not too long ago because now you have this new drone that does the auto tracking.
Well, it has a little tiny thing that I can put in my pocket, and I don't need to worry about it as much. Yeah.
So I was really happy to take that ugly ass white Velcro off of your
I know.
black bikes.
You were just waiting for the day.
It killed me.
I'm all about what I need, guys.
You're more function than
I'm running
look.
and gunning around here, and that's everything's secondary to getting productions done. So I do what I need to do. But
so we've talked about some drones. Is there any difference in cameras in between different brands? And
yeah, but the brands I've talked about
all have good cameras.
Well, and for what our audience listening for the most part is going to use it for, any of those are fine. Of course, if you're going to get up into like, you need to get like raw, you can get like total Hollywood type. So for what I can't imagine anybody listening to this would need anything more than those cameras. Just decide, if you need only 1080, which 99% of people, they only need 1080 for what they're doing. For personal stuff, you do not need 4K. I need the 4K. Even I get away with 1080 on some stuff, but I like the 4K because it gives me some flexibility in post. So I could go down a rabbit hole there too. I'm not.
No, that's just all I need to know.
All right.
So if you're getting those better drones, they're going to come with good cameras. So
decent enough. The Mavic Minis are good enough. The Mavic Mini 2, it even shoots 4K. So yeah, they're good. They're fine for what everybody listening is going to use them for.
So I think we kind of got into a part in the podcast where we've talked about the different drones, the good, the bad, the ugly, which ones you should get. But now let's say I got one. Can I just launch that son of a bitch and go, or what do I need to do?
All right. Do you want to tell me this? Do you want to go into that and then come back to auto tracking? Or do you want
to talk more about tracking?
We were kind of there, and I think there's probably some things I should clean up for the audience.
Okay.
So that they don't get stressed about it, or they're not have misconceptions about it. Because we haven't even talked about Skydio.
Okay, clean it up, say what you want to say, and then let's move into rules and regulations. And what can I just buy one and fly it, or do I have to get a license? And
can
I fly it anywhere I want?
Very good. I like that.
So if you got more to say, go ahead.
I'll tell you this. Ride longer, Lurch. Treat your ass with some respect already. Get hooked up with a premium butt buffer seat cushion. This company of bikers developed a super thin hospital-grade seat cushion made of solid and elastic materials, and it's unlike those gel pads that will leak if punctured. We know that's happened around here. The butt buffer is designed not to slide around in your seat, fits all motorcycles, installs in seconds, and easily cleans. Yep, helps to dampen those vibrations. With plenty of models to choose from, they assure you'll have a comfortable ass when riding. Head over to Law Abiding Biker Store and check out our lineup of butt buffer seat cushions.
Got a snazzy little tune for that.
You like that?
Yeah.
You've heard it. You're the producer. That's
I have.
The song you put. Oh, yeah, it is snappy.
It's just different.
Different when you're in earphones, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is snappy. Thank you. Pretty snappy little tune. All right. So on auto, I already told you guys, if you think there's a drone out there that is super easy and it takes all the learning out of it, that's just not available yet. The Skydio 2 is an amazing drone. You're not going to get one because they've been on back order since last year. I pre-ordered one, got one, and they're still on back order. And my video, a lot of guys have said, I want one of those. And they're like, it's frickin', you can't even get one. There's still a waiting list. The company is a US-based company, and they're coming after DJI. I will just tell you that. I am super impressed. They're coming after DJI. But here's what I'll say about auto tracking. DJI, if you're going to walk, and I have experience with this, let me tell you, I have been frustrated with auto tracking because I do want some quick auto tracking shots now and then. They have frustrated me for years. Lurch, you've been out with me when we've auto tracked. What happened? Do you remember? Multiple times. Shots over, turning around, coming back.
Oh, yeah.
It loses us. Mm-hmm. It won't stay with us. Yep. Coming back. It's a several hour, sometimes process to just get a few usable shots if you're lucky. But if you're just walking, or you're going to walk on a mountaintop or in your yard, or you want to do some orbiting shots, stuff like that, DJI is okay at that.
They just don't keep up at a higher speed.
Correct. Well, no, even at a low speed on a motorcycle.
Dude,
they lose us all the time. Even at 18, they're constantly losing us. They're horrible. Horrible. It's because it's a motorcycle and it's not a body. Okay. So the way DJI does auto tracking is it is a picture of you. So you're drawing a square around yourself. The camera is just trying to discern, and the software within is trying to discern that you're the subject that it wants to track. So it's based on contrast of the camera and stuff like that. Well, that varies so much. It doesn't like motorcycles. It likes cars better than motorcycles. It just hates motorcycles. Once in a while you can get a lock, and
it's locking on you through the camera.
Correct.
Okay.
That's it.
I can see how that could be problematic on a bike.
And they've gotten better at it over the years. To me, I'm surprised that they haven't gotten better at it, because DJI in every other way excels. But I'll be the first to tell you, they suck at auto tracking motorcycles. It'll lock and then it'll lose you, and then it'll lock and then it'll lose you, and then you got to turn around. Then it won't lock at all, and you take off and it stays there, and it's horrible. Do all this safely, guys. You can't just do this over any road with like frickin' massive traffic and stuff. You guys got to be smart about this. Yeah, I have it over a river, or I'm manually flying it to make sure. You guys can't just, don't just be dumb, because that's how stupid rules get made from people being stupid. So you need to do all this stuff safely. But the difference, so it's just camera. The difference which is why the Skydio is so impressive, the Skydio 2 for auto tracking has a great camera. I'm actually really liking what's coming out of that camera and the colors. I won't get any deeper than that. I want to go into some camera log stuff. I can't get into log.
You'll get too nerdy and too deep.
I will. For this podcast, I will get to, So but the difference between the Skydio is why it does so good is you really need to get the Skydio. Then you need to get the controllers and add-on, so you can manually fly it, just like the controllers I use with the sticks. Then you need to get the beacon. Okay.
Is it GPS based?
It is.
Okay. So
it's
you're putting the beacon in your pocket.
Yes.
And so between the camera and the beacon, it's using the two together to track you.
Yes. It switches back and forth.
Okay. Yeah.
So you can use the Skydio without the beacon, but then it's using a camera photo base, just like the DJI, and it's not great.
No.
When you add the Jeep, so what that allows me to do, and you see in my video, we like disappear behind trees, but it still knows where I am. And you see the GPS take over. You can see it on the screen on my video, and that's where the GPS, and it tracks phenomenally. Like, it still does some quirky stuff once in a while, but I mean, come on. It's dodging trees and pine trees. And I mean, it has DJI has some obstacle avoidance. We didn't talk about that. To wrap that up a little bit, your smaller drones, like the Mini, it only has I can't remember if I'm wrong on this, guys, that's fine. But it doesn't have as much obstacle avoidance. It only has sensors like in the front. The bigger drones, like the Mavic Pro, you start getting sensors above or side, rear sensors. And DJI does okay.
More sensors, more angles.
Yes.
Okay.
DJI does okay at obstacle avoidance, but I don't trust it because it fails all the time. I don't like relying on those systems. Again, I like to fly myself. I would not ever, those are like fail-safe systems in case you F up. Hopefully the obstacle avoidance saves you. Skydio is 100 times ahead of DJI, which is amazing because DJI was the owner of the industry. They have cameras all over this thing. It puts a 360 bubble around it. I literally couldn't get it to crash. Now, objects have to be a certain size. So power lines and stuff,
you can still trim
you're going to hit those. So you don't want to, but pine trees, like I was flying around in the mountains, dude, plenty. It will go around all that, and it will track. Watch the video. It's amazing.
Starling, a magpie.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're big enough. size of a fist.
Yeah.
It's just a thin wire.
Sure.
Or like trees in the fall that are very thin, sparse, no leaves with just a few sticks. It can hit those, but trees with leaves, it'll go around because it sees it as a big. But my point being, it has a 360 sphere around it, and it's real-time processing that data. It can fly up to 36 miles an hour at tracking speed and avoid all obstacles. That's what I mean. It took the industry, and they're a US-based company. So people were just like, DJI went back on their heels like, oh, because DJI's been making drones way longer than them, and they can't, because they had no competition in the market, right? They could get away with having shitty auto tracking. Now, I guarantee DJI is like, oh shit. So I guarantee they are R&Ding right now. How can we do that? So the other part of that is the Skydio. Now it gets some you can get some cool manual shots with it, but it takes a lot more practice because DJI was first designed to manually fly, and then it's an addition, right? There's kind of a secondary thing. Okay. With Skydio, its sole purpose is to auto track and obstacle avoidance. And then second, they allow manual flight. So the controls are just not as precise. It's harder to get smooth cinematic. I can do it, but I was just out the other day. I just went out and practiced 3 batteries. Wasn't even filming. And you can adjust the way your controls respond with all these drones. And I was trying to find the right adjustments for me because I really want to use it more even for manual flight because I love it. And that's the other reason I love it is because of rules and regulations. And I'll get into that with you, and we'll move into that in a minute. But so hopefully that gives a little bit of information about drones, what you're looking at. You guys need to maintain these things. You can't just go these batteries. If you're going to do this, do it right. That's what I always say. Don't half-ass it. You have to maintain your batteries. They need to be deep cycled everyone. There's a lot of other podcasts that are drone based, and there's schools and training, to, flight. I know people want to think of it as toy, and to some extent it is, but if you want to do it safely and you don't want the FAA to keep coming out and restricting the sport and industry of drones, then use some I don't agree with everything they're doing, but use some damn common sense and don't just go be stupid. That's all I'll say on that. Because I'm tired of the regulations, honestly. When I first started flying drones, there was nothing, dude. It was the Wild West. And then people started doing really stupid shit. And what does the government do? Instead of spanking those people or making some light, they just knee-jerk reaction. Yep.
Shotgun.
Just shotgun blast. And it just took the industry by storm, and we're all just suffering because of it, because it's complicated. So, yeah.
Well, it's crystal clear what I need now.
Is it?
No.
For you?
I think you're, yeah.
You would go get a Mavic Mini 2.
Yeah.
That's what I would tell. If you asked me right now, but I know you can afford it, and so we're trying to do price point. Yeah. What's a Mavic Mini 2 going for? Let's see. Buy now. It's going, and it's a pretty reasonable drone just to get your feet wet. And I would get the Fly More combo. It comes with extra props, extra battery, and extra charger. Autoplay video.
Yeah.
$449.
That's not bad.
Nope. And that's with the Fly More. If you get the Fly More, $600. But if you get the Mavic Mini 1 with the Fly More, I think
I gotta tell you, my first GoPro and all the accessories. I mean, I was up there myself. So, but
I think Costco has them down a little over $300 for the Mavic Mini 1 and Fly More, which would be just fine. So you can go either way, and even online you can find the Mavic Mini 1 still. It's fine. Just remember it's a Wi-Fi, so you're not going to get a crazy, which you don't need with a little drone like that. You're just not going to be flying that far. So that's what I would tell you. But I know you, and and I know you can afford that price range, and so I would stick you with that. Is what I would do.
Okay.
All right. Or a Mavic Mini 1. If you're like, I like it, but can I save just $150 or $200? Yeah. Then get a Mini 1. One of those two. All right.
I'm getting the 2. Mini 2.
Mini
Fly
2.
More combo.
There you go. Nice.
All
bag.
right.
Nice little shoulder bag, man purse. Yeah.
No man bag.
Okay. I hope that is clear as mud. I think we're given some good
oh yeah, no doubt
information, but I just can't tell everybody because I'm trying to say, here's the,
you know so much about it. Yeah. You know,
now you need to make
so
your own
much
decision.
about it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to help the audience kind of keep it at a level that we're used to.
Yeah.
And more of a beginner, what do I need kind of stuff. I mean, you just have a shit ton of information about it. But so do you feel pretty good about the auto tracking?
I do. I think that cleared up whether you want manual flying versus auto tracking. And the main point being, don't think you're going to get a Skydio if you get your hands on one, and it's not easy. You need to learn a lot of stuff. It's to set up, to get it to track right. And my video goes through some of that, but nothing is launch and Insta.
No.
You're going to need to learn some things. Updating controllers, software conflicts, updates, and this and that. And you're going to get locked and not be able to fly some areas, which we'll talk about regulations. And it's, none of this is easy. It's complicated.
What I'm gathering from this is neither one is really awesome at both. One's a little bit better than the other.
Yep.
For manual, one's better than the other for auto. And so ideally, if you can afford it, you'd have one of each depending on what type of video you're doing. But
if you have both needs, some people have no need for auto tracking.
Yeah, I'm going with the assumption that you want both. So it'd be nice to have both. But if you couldn't, you would divert probably to the DJI and maybe a Mini too.
Yes, unless they're just going to walk around or hike and track themselves, then the DJI does really good at that. Just I'm trying to keep motorcycle in my experience with motorcycles. So DJI is horrible for motorcycle auto tracking. Just know that.
Okay, so I bought my DJI. DJ. I keep saying G.
I know.
How many times have I said DG?
A lot.
Oh,
but that's all right. No, everybody knows what you're talking about.
DJI.
Plus, when you're editing this, I want you to hear it every time and go,
It's hard to say J for some reason after D. I want to say DG. DJI. So I bought the thing.
From China.
From Costco. I'm getting ready to fly it. Can I just fly it, or do I have to get a license? Do I not have to get a license? Can I fly it anywhere? Kind of take me through some of what it really takes to fly it lawfully. And then after that, maybe do I need a license? Do I not? And then can I fly it anywhere? So I guess kind of a 3-part question.
I'll forget all of it. So let me start with one.
Start with this. Can I buy it and fly it?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Depending where.
Do I need a pilot's license? Do I need the 103, part 103?
107.
Part 107.
Depends.
Do I need it?
So let me clean all that up.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. So here we go. Let's first talk about drone registrations.
Do I have to put a tail number on my drone?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Holy shit.
Depends. All right. Everything depends. But there's a lot of misconceptions. So I'm going to make this very clear because I know this industry well. If you are going to fly recreationally, okay, recreationally means you're not making any money at all, not a penny. If you're posting on YouTube and you have an AdSense account, you are commercially flying.
Yeah.
You are making money from your drone footage. If you're selling pictures, if you're selling photos, anything, even if you're trading for merchandise, right? I'll trade you these photos for you're gaining something. You're gaining something, and that is a commercial. So you will need to register your drone. I'm going to back up a little bit. Let's talk about weight of drones. The reason the Mavic Mini got a lot of unnecessary rave by the uneducated drone community. Did you hear I said it was 249 grams? Okay. The reason that number is really important is because a lot of people thought, if you have a drone that's 249 grams or lighter, under 250 grams, basically, I should say, then you don't have to register it and you don't need a Part 107 license, pilot license, okay? And it's unfortunate because I see this even on YouTubers and I'm just like, you guys, you don't know the industry and you're an idiot. Okay, 249 grams, they all thought, oh, you can just go do whatever you want. You don't have to register it.
For us Americans, a little over half a pound.
Yeah, right. Very light little drone.
Yeah.
For the technology is amazing.
9 ounces.
Yeah. Okay, so picking back up on that. So a lot of people thought, oh, well, it's 249 grams. It's under 250. I don't need to register it. I don't need a Part 107. I can fly it wherever I want. It's not the case.
Not if you're doing
not
it
here
commercially.
In this country. No, not even that. It has nothing to do with, okay, so everybody thought you could do everything with it, which is why DJI was pushing for being under 250 grams. All right. The only thing that exempts you from is registering it with the FAA and getting the tail, if you want to call it a tail number. Okay. So if you are a recreational pilot and you buy the Mavic Mini, it's under 250 and you don't add any accessories because as soon as you do it, it's over and you leave it stock and you fly it, the only thing that exempts you from is having to register it with the FAA, which costs $5. So it saves you $5. Okay. As far as everything else, you in the United States, you have to follow every other rule of recreational flyer, which we're not going to get into you need to look this up. And if you're going to fly it commercially, you still need a Part 107 license. Literally, it saves you $5 and you don't have to register it in the United States. Now, Canada, super exciting because Canada, and I know we have Canadian listeners, so I know this fairly well, but if you're a flyer up there, you may have more information than me. But in Canada, they've stated that they have similar rules, but if it's 250 grams or under 250 grams, not only they don't register, is they can fly it and they don't have to follow a lot of, they still have to follow rules, but they get exempted from a lot of the more stricter rules because it's so light and so little and it's so benign. So in Canada,
the damage that it could potentially do is so low that they're not as concerned.
Yes. I believe in Canada, even if it's over 250 commercial or not, you have to get their license. So again, if I'm wrong on that, that's fine. You can correct me in the comments and the show notes. But so Canada, it's kind of exciting because especially being international, if I'm running up there, I would be more apt to take a Mavic Mini 2 because I'm technically not licensed or whatever, You're
right. Basically on this little bit of looking on the interwebs I'm doing as we're talking here up in Canada, it says anything over 250 grams must be registered and a pilot must hold a certification.
So I was right.
Either hobby or advanced.
Yep, exactly. So if you're from the US and you're going to take a trip to Canada, it would behoove you, unless you want to go get a license in Canada or get a permit or whatever, jump the hoops, you could take that baby up there as long as you're you still can't fly around airports. There's still all kinds of rules. You can't fly over the runway of an airport and shit, but it would allow you not to get a license, not to have to register in Canada. You could run up there, get some cool shots of the mountains and call it good. So there you go. So that's the first part of the regulation. So I hope that cleared up because there's so many idiots online that I see. I'm like, that is not true. They're so excited. It's under 249 grams. You don't have to follow the rule. No, you do. And you're going to get dinged if you screw up real bad. So does that make sense?
It does.
Okay. Everything else over, whether it's recreational or commercial, anything 250 or higher, you must register with the FAA and you get a number and you must take that sticker and affix it to your drone. Okay. That's what they want you to do.
Okay.
Now, let me tell you, as many drones are on the US, a lot of people are not following the rules. And I am first to tell you that the FAA is way overkill on this. They had a knee-jerk reaction. Homeland Security is involved too, because they're worried about people flying them over a stadium and dropping a bomb. So I get it to a certain extent, but they have cracked down. They're taking and making it way more than it needs to be. There does need to be rules, I agree. But anyway, so I'm not an advocate for everything they're doing. I'm very frustrated with a lot of what they're doing because it's stupid, but it is the position we're in right now. So, all right. So with that said, everything over that, you got to register. Put your number on it. So that's registering drones. All right. Now, let's do this. Let me pop this, and then we will
getting into
we'll
licenses.
roll right into the other regulations, and then we'll finish that up. So,
are you searching for the easiest and quickest detachable luggage systems for your motorcycle? Rick Rack has just what you're looking for. Forget all those frustrating straps and bungee cords that can come loose and slap your paint. Check out one of Rick Rack's awesome quick attachment strapless luggage rack systems. This father and son team designed something really special that you can't find anywhere else. Yet these guys ride so they truly understand the needs of bikers. The Rick Rack Quick Attached system is strong, durable, and secure with a lockable system. Also, check out their full line of quality touring bags to accompany your Quick Detach system. Once you use Rick Rack, you'll never go back.
Rick Rack.
What are you waiting for, bikeaholics? Head on over to lawabidingbiker.com and check out our full line of Rick Rack systems and bags.
/store.
/store.
All right. He was kind of winding down there. Lawabidingbiker.com /store.
I was doing my own take.
I know you were.
I took those last two bullets and made them one.
All right. So, all right, this episode's, I know it's going long, but I think it's good just to get all this done because we get a lot of questions and I can just refer people to this episode.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about it because either people tuned in. They tuned in because they wanted to learn about drones and
I started talking and they're like blah blah blah,
or they're not into it. Right. So the folks that are listening right now are into it. So
yeah, it's true. Let's finish it.
Don't shortchange them.
Oh, don't stop short on the audience.
Give them what they need.
All right, give them. I like that. All right, Lurch, thanks for encouraging me.
You betcha.
Because okay. So picking up your question, the next part of your question in there is. So when it comes to the licensing, Part 107 FAA certification.
Pilot's license, a license to fly this thing.
To fly a drone in the United States in controlled airspace or non-controlled airspace. You have to have a Part 107 if you are going to fly commercial. I've already explained what commercial is. If you're going to be on YouTube, I'm not going over that again. Same as register. If you're commercial, you got to do it all. What's the other part to that? So I was going to go somewhere with that. So Part 107, get licensed. Oh, if you're recreational and you're not making money, you don't need a Part 107, but you have a different set. It really limits you on what you can do. I would look that up. It's changing right now a bit, but you're a recreational flyer and they're probably going to have places set up like model aircraft and stuff like that. You can fly in like Class G airspace. So, out in the mountains that has no controlled airspace. You can fly.
So a license gives you more opportunity to fly in different areas.
Using the LANC system. Yes.
Let's say, is there a way to register and let the FAA know that you're...
There is.
Okay.
So it gets complicated, but I'll keep this as leveled down as I can. Number one, it's not an easy test to get. Let me talk about that.
Yeah, it's not easy.
It is not an easy test. And you will have to study a lot. And the FAA is always changing the questions. And there's a lot of questions on there that you're like, this is for manned pilot, but they don't care. And you'll have the study materials and you got to recert every 2 years. Okay, period. And I'm just telling you, I feel like I'm a fairly smart guy. I've passed them both in the 90s, but still... It's pilot questions and there's some ones in there that don't make sense and trick. And there's such a broad database of questions that they pull. You're only going to get, I think it's 60 on your original test. I could be wrong on that. And then to recert, it's half, it's 30. But there's such a pool for them to draw from. You don't know.
There could be 500 questions they're pulling from.
You're going to have to learn to read airspace. You're going to have to learn to read charts. You're going to have to learn weather, NOTAMs. You have to learn about NOTAMs and all the weather and how to read all this. It's crazy.
It does seem overkill for a drone.
Correct. We're hoping that slowly will change. They seem like slowly they're getting rid of some stuff and more narrowly focusing, but they basically took from the manned pilot industry and said, oh, we need drones and we need a test. So here we go. And a lot of it,
it's not
like radio frequencies. Like if you're going into this airport, you look at a chart, are you going to be on this radio? It's like, we don't have radios.
There's no radio on
but it's in there and you'll learn it. If you want a drone license now, you will learn it.
Hopefully they'll make it more appropriate.
We hope.
Okay.
The rusty gears of the FAA is slow.
I've heard they're tough to get.
Slow.
It's a tough test to pass.
Yep.
It's not easy.
No. You'll want to buckle down.
Okay.
There are some online courses, and I paid for one, and they help you study. They help you with the test and what some of the questions were. They help you learn to read airspace, learn class, A, B, C, class G, E, all that. You'll need to learn it all. And it'll be overkill, and I'm telling you it's overkill, but if you want a pilot license, a drone pilot license, that's what you'll do. So that's number one. So don't take that lightly. If you're going to do it, and make sure you buckle down.
How come you don't wear your wings? I've never seen your wings.
I do. I have a tattoo
I've not
on
seen
the small of my back with my wings.
Oh, that's why.
See it?
That's why I've never seen it. I've
never tramp stamp of wings, bro.
I've never seen your pilot wings.
Yeah.
What's up with that?
Yeah, I know, dude. I should wear them more. I don't like to brag or anything,
Kind of big deal around here.
I got my goggles too, dude. I got a Maverick patch.
And your scarf.
Leather bomber jacket.
Your
and scarf. Yeah, dude. Yeah, I should wear that, dude. I've always wanted to when I'm out flying a drone, just goggles and a bomber jacket and a scarf, dude. So don't take that lightly. Getting that. If it's something you want to do and you're going to do commercial, and commercial will open up more opportunities for you. So piggybacking off that question, I'm parched.
What your wish? So what you're talking about? Open up space. If with your license, first of all, how do you let the FAA know that you are a 107 pilot and you can be in that space? And what type of spaces does it open up? I mean, dumb it down.
I know.
Dumb it down.
Okay.
Dumb it down.
This is all stuff you're going to have to learn. People.
Yeah, that might be been too big a question, but kind of dumb it down a little bit.
I will. So here we go. They have a system and an app. It's the LANC system. It's a low altitude LANC, LAANC, low altitude authorization, something. We can look it up.
I'll look it up later.
Okay, what does LANC, FALAANC stand for? But basically, in a nutshell, you learn it, you get on we used to actually have to read the airspace. Now they have these LANC grids. So you can get in an app like Kitty Hawk or Air Data, and it will GPS your location. And there's different grids and different colors. And anyways, in a nutshell, it'll tell you what altitude you can be pre-authorized for. And basically go ahead.
It's called the low altitude authorization and notification capabilities.
Yes. Thank you. So that's LANC system.
So it'll tell you
that's
only
recent.
how low, how high you can fly.
Right.
Okay.
Yep. And it will authorize you right there instantly. If it's a grid that says you can fly to 200 AGL, which is above ground level, then it will say you'll click it. It'll give you instant authorization. It notifies. Okay. But
yeah, I remember some of this when I was your lookout when you're flying this
visual
last year.
observer.
You're talking about, thank you.
VO.
I was your visual observer.
That's right.
You were saying something about helicopters you can only go up to 400 helicopters or higher than that. And so obviously there's different heights
depending on the airspace.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay.
We used to actually at first when I started this, I had apps where I actually read the airspace like a manned pilot, and I would have to know. But now they have this LANC. They're trying to make it. They are developing the drone industry, and you can get its grids, and it'll tell you what you can fly, and then you can get. So if that grid says you can actually immediately fly if you only want to fly 100 feet, then you can get authorization. Now, where it gets complicated is when you need to do stuff like me. Like when we went on our Sturgis trip, I spent a ton of time because I knew where I wanted to fly.
You were getting pre-authorizations.
I was getting pre-authorizations because I wanted to fly outside the parameters of instant authorization. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I wanted to fly in a space that was a zero grid, but I needed to get those authorizations. You need to do those weeks in advance most of the time. And you can do it through Kitty Hawk, or you can do it through Air Data. In some of these places, Kitty Hawk charges for you. But basically what it does, it gives it to the tower, whoever's in charge there, so that they can authorize you. And you have to tell them, I'm going to fly from this time to this time. I want to fly at 200 AGL. You have to give them the coordinates. I want to fly this, from this time, I won't go any higher than this. They want a safety plan. I'm going to have a visual observer. They all at the end of the day, they have the ultimate authority to deny you or accept you. And then you get an authorization number. So if I ever go fly there or get questioned, then I have that authorization. Even more complicated, what I dealt with, Lurch, is DJI products have a geofence system. Because they're a China company and there's been threats of them getting kicked out of the US and stuff because of China spy. Okay, all that.
Right.
They want to work with the FAA as close. So they've developed, they want to please the FAA.
So stadiums and whatnot, they'll put a geofence around it where you can't fly over the top of a stadium.
Just airspace, period.
Yeah.
So not
There's
even
areas that your drone will not fly.
Well, if it's a next to an airport, and
they put a geofence around it, done. It ain't gonna fly around it.
Yep.
Okay.
And it's gonna lock. So they have geofence. So basically, if you try to take off, it literally won't let you. One of our Lower Valley police agencies here, he's not very familiar with that system, and they fly in the Lower Valley, which is open airspace, so it flies. He got called out because I was busy to our city. Went to a SWAT call out. Drone wouldn't launch. Police drone. A lot of people don't know these things. It's locked. You have to do unlocks, okay, to do that.
To the airport or something?
It was in one of our zero grid areas. Yep. I can fly there because I've done what I need to do through some programs to get the drone unlocked. But going back without getting in the weeds, so what I had to do with that is, and then I got a call from the tower the day before the trip, and he goes, "Hey, I see your authorization. I just want to make sure you're only going to fly blah, blah, blah." And he was a really nice guy. He's actually originally from Yakima. He's from Billings. Really cool guy, but they authorized me. But then I have to, because they authorized me to fly, DJI doesn't know shit. So how does DJI know? Remember I was worried that morning? I go, frick, dude. I go, DJI is going to lock me and they're not going to let me take off because I have to relay to DJI. Now there's a whole nother, once I get my authorization, and I learned all this, there's no this is complicated because it's changing. I had to fight my way through this, multiple locations that we flew at on our Sturgis documentary so I could get the shots I need. And then I had to get DJI, who has an unlock, and prove to DJI, which I'm talking and emailing people in China, and they're controlling whether I can fly in the US or not. It's a little bit crazy. So then I tell them on their system that I have authorization from the FAA, and I gave them the FAA approval number, but they don't even contact the FAA because they're in China. But the things I said, they realized I'm a legit.
Yeah.
And they authorized it. And so then they gave me an unlock so that when I tried to take off in that unauthorized
a code,
or
something.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
There's a code, and you have to get on your controller, and this is all the tech that people don't realize. If you're going to fly in the mountains and away from everybody, and you'll fly all day and have fun.
It seems like our issues are larger when we're in towns or near airports and that kind of stuff. Or I do remember when we were up in Canada, we were near a coast. We were down by a harbor, and we're near a Coast Guard helicopter base, and we had some issues. And okay.
So luckily that morning the unlock worked, but so I've had them not work before because DJI isn't, again, they're in China, and you're trying to get the area and they're not coordinating with you. It's a mess. This whole industry is a mess. And I don't agree with DJI doing that. I love their drones, but think about it. But I get it, but I don't get it. If I show DJI that I have a license, then they should sell me an unlocked drone. You don't tell me where to drive my car. No. I know that I can't drive onto Hanford I can't drive onto they don't do that to commercial pilots. If you know I'm licensed, then I'm responsible for my actions. They can track. These things are GPS. Okay. They're putting out an ADBS signal most of the time. A lot of air tower, they can see them. So if I'm doing something I'm not supposed to, then come after me. But they're worried
about losing their licensing in the United States and no longer being allowed to fly in DJI.
Right. I just hope other companies don't.
Are no longer allowed to fly.
I guess.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what
But you see what I mean?
About.
I'm a pilot. You've certified me. I've went through all your hoops. Then don't lock my drone.
Yeah.
I know where I can fly. I know my airspace.
That's a CYA kind of thing.
Yeah, it's bullshit.
Yeah.
Absolute bullshit.
Look
what I had to go through.
Yeah.
Just it's stressful, bro. And then what if it wouldn't have took off? I would have missed the shots that I needed, or the code didn't work and I'm there. We got an hour to get the shots I need and we got to move on. I mean, I'm a run and gun filmmaker. So here's the other part to that. And it's not to break any rules. It's because I'm a little bit tired of dealing with a lot of that stuff. Now, when you're outside, like different places, cities we flew, dude, it's Class G. And I look everything up before I go. And if you guys don't think I do, let me tell you, I have sheets and I make notes of airspace,
Copious.
city, time I want to fly. So I can, copious. So I can look at, because I'm running and gunning on these trips. And so I know that I'm authorized and I have my authorization codes so that I can fly all the places that I want to fly. There's still a lot of restricted things. I'll just tell you guys right now, if you want to go, it's unfortunate. All national parks, this is being fought in the courts. Okay. Cause I don't believe the National Park Service has the authority to do that, but they are, and they will fine you. You can't fly in any national park. I tried now.
Probably for security reasons at this point. That's what they're pointing to, I would think.
No, this is what's bullshit. I disagree. There's a knee-jerk reaction. Again, because people are being stupid and they're hovering over the main areas over people, right? They just go fly away from people. I know more background than that, but I won't get into that because the National Park Service flies their own drones, but in their own parks, but they won't let the public. So I absolutely furious about it. Because I think it's overstep and really hindering an industry. Here's the other problem. They allow people to film in there, but you have to get a permit. I tried to get permits. They refused to give me a permit. I have the emails for a drone. Yeah. Okay. For a camera, a flying camera. A drone is a flying camera. It's no different. It's a very benign instrument as far as that goes. But a lot of people were scared and a lot of people did stupid things, right? This is what I'm saying. Be responsible so we can get some of this stuff laxed up because it's getting ridiculous that I can't fly in a national park where it's not going to cause any problem at all. You know, the film productions that are in there cause way more. I'm not even touching the land. It's a benign instrument. Think about it. Film crews bringing in cameras and tripods.
Footprint.
Yeah. I'm leaving no footprint at all. Zero footprint. I don't want to get off on that tangent. I get fired up about that stuff. So I couldn't even get permits. So just don't think you're going to go take it national. It's very restrictive. Stadiums, you're right. One of them, it'll lock. You won't be able to fly over those. So here, piggybacking off that is why I am really practicing with the Skydio. Because Skydio has 0 geofences. This is a DJI problem. And that's why I like Skydio. I know what I can do. I know where I can fly. I'm certified. I've done everything. I know how to read the maps. So let me just go fly without lock. So I don't have to stress out before a trip and get this unlock and this code and hope everything works. Or at minimum, next time we'll take that as a backup. So if my legit unlock doesn't work, I'll go, well, I have an unlock and I'm flying this one because it won't be locked and I know I'm legit. So that's why I'm trying to use it more. And I hope some other drone manufacturers will come out. I think DJI is the only one that's doing that. And
because they're a Chinese company,
I guess.
And
the caveat to that is there are people, but stadiums, they're building technology that will be able to keep drones. They already have it. They just don't talk about it. I know they have it. They can put things around prisons and stuff that it doesn't matter what brand drone you are, it will keep it from flying in or it'll take it out of the sky. So hopefully if they build that technology, we can get rid of a little bit of this whole geofence system and just trust that those very sensitive events will have the technology they need regardless of because it's bad. Even our police drones, dude, I went to fly it over our jail because if we have a jailbreak, I won't fly over it, dude. It's literally like a wall with my and that's a Enterprise 2, Mavic DJI Enterprise 2 dual. And so I had to go through this. This is where I learned a lot of stuff. I had to go get unlocks and I'm like, no, we're police. We're authorized to land on top of the jail if I need to. But it would not do it out of the box. And it was sold to a police agency as a police drone. It's a problem. That's a problem.
Yeah, it is.
So, and again, it happened to a law enforcement agency when he was not as educated as me, and he had no clue. He's like, I've never had it. That's because he flies in a place that's all Class G airspace. Right. Never had to deal with that. I knew going into it, but complicated. So
it is.
If you're just going to fly in a backyard or the hills or the mountains, then you fly all day.
Yeah.
Go recreational, go fly in the mountains, go get your pine trees and your mountains. And, but if you're in any type of, and we're only a city of 100,000, a county of 250,000, but we have an airport, and a lot of it is 5 miles surrounding the airport in all directions that have different levels of restrictions. And I think a lot of cities are that way. Rapid City, but it was on one end. So where I flew, it was really, I could just fly 400 feet. So a lot of the cities we went to, I didn't need to get any pre-authorizations. But some of the bigger cities, Billings was funny, right where we were staying was downtown, and it's right in the path, but they were fine. Cause I told them, I said, listen, I'm just going to be flying this AGL at this time. And they were good. And they put out a notice to airmen. It's a NOTAM, and let other manned pilots know that there's a drone in the air at these coordinates from 9 to 10. And they're all above where I was. And I know, so with my request, I know what altitude to ask. I know what they'll authorize, because their planes are going to be way above that. But nonetheless, it's overkill. It's a crazy industry, but have fun. If you're going to go get a Mini 2, go out in the mountains, go out in the country where there's no restrictions. You're still restricted to the 400 feet, no matter where you go, 400 feet AGL. But you can go out. You're not going to be locked. You're not going to be violating any rules. You're out in the mountains. There's no helipads around. There's no fly away. So there are still a lot of, if you're a nature person, you go camping, you're going to be golden. Have fun with it. But if you're thinking you're just going to grab a drone and go fly around out of your backyard or cities, you're going to run into a lot of rules, regulations, and locks and things you just need to be aware of. And that's not to not get anybody in. It's to be realistic.
Do it right.
It's to be realistic about that. Yeah. You're not just going to go fly willy-nilly, especially if you buy a DJI product. You could buy some of these drones like Autel and things like that. Dude, you could literally break a lot. You would be breaking a lot of rules because they're a lot more unrestricted as far as that goes. But certainly that's not our intention here or anything like that. You try to follow the rules as best you can, no matter how overkill they are right now. But be educated. Even if you're not going to fly, it's just good to know airspace. It made me much more aware of manned aircraft and their patterns and what you can and can't do to make sure you just stay out of their way, and at the end of the day, that's the bottom line is no matter what situation you are in, you're required as a drone pilot to yield to all manned aircraft. So we have had that in the police where the other night we were flying, looking for a bad guy, and I heard a helicopter, and I have my visual observer, and he could see it and we could see it. And I just yielded. I just dropped to 50 feet and waited till he passed over. And I was only at 200 feet anyways. I know he was probably at 500 just based on my experience, but nonetheless, get the hell out of the way, yield. And then I went back about my business. So you got to yield to that, but you'll learn all that. Even if you're a recreational flyer, even before I was monetizing, I was flying drones before I was monetizing. I still went and got my Part 107 because it just makes you understand what everything I just talked about. And you'll just be a safer person. You'll be a safer pilot. You'll understand. You'll have some more maybe etiquette and courtesy and things like that, and really get a grasp of the industry and kind of where it's going. And I think it can only make you better. So, man.
Is there anything that tells you that you need to move? I mean, is there any? Okay. It's all visual.
It is. Now, the new drones mostly are coming out, and the Mavic Air 2 comes out with that. From now on, DJI is going to add that into most of their products. And that is the ability to, so on my Mavic Air 2, which is newer, and our police one, it has the ability, so I can see, it warns me when aircraft are approaching. Okay. And I can look at a map and I can actually see in relation to me where the aircraft are. So they're expanding on that capabilities so that we can see that. And I think all drone manufacturers are eventually going to do that because it just makes the industry, we need to see where they are.
Makes sense.
And they need to see where we are. and we all get along that way and we don't run into hazards. So it does alert you. And so a lot of the new drones, I think that's going to be the new standard. And the industry, big deal right now is they're coming out with some sort of remote identification. And I don't want to go in a rabbit hole on that. I filled out a thing. There was a time you had to comment before the FAA makes their rules, but it's basically going to give the FAA, if it goes through, which it sounds like the FAA is going to push it through, regardless of listening to all us that don't necessarily agree with it, is remote identification, which will allow them, right now they can see the pilot or the drone, but they can't a lot of times, but they can't see the pilot. This would allow the FAA to see exactly where the actual pilot is.
Who the pilot is.
Yes. Yeah. And where the pilot is.
Based on your remote?
Yes.
Okay.
It's remote identification. So that's a whole nother rabbit hole. If you follow the drone industry, you know what I'm talking about. And whether that's just available to law enforcement, they were going to make it available to any public, which is a safety concern, because we already get approached. We've been approached by law enforcement, right?
Oh yeah.
People don't understand drones. That's another point we wanted to make.
We had all our licensing, permitting, and everything.
I was totally legit, and that's not the first time.
Dude, you can't fly a drone here. Yeah, yes, I can.
Yeah. Do that nicely.
Yeah.
Make sure if they ask you to land, and then discuss it with them.
Yeah. They weren't listening to what we had to say, so luckily we were done. So
yes, we had our shots
in and set it down, and it's.
I'll tell you right now, law enforcement's not their fault.
No, I mean the general public is uneducated about drone and drone laws, and law enforcement's in the same boat, and especially in we were in Sturgis, and in Sturgis in particular, those officers come from all over to work the rally. So that dude could have been from God knows where, and
he just heard that drones were bad.
And somebody might have told him, don't let anybody fly any drones over downtown. Okay.
Right.
And so that's what he says when we're trying to fly it. And he doesn't know that we're law enforcement ourselves and that we're licensed and we've got our permits and everything.
A lot of people don't even know there's a drone pilot license.
Yeah. It's just easier to land the thing instead of arguing with them.
Yep. You can always have a conversation with them later. Be respectful. Respect goes a long way. But they're very uneducated. I'll just tell you, my department, my officers know nothing about it. But my motto is, if you don't know about it, don't enforce it. But unfortunately, there are officers that do that, and they're human too. We can say that because we're law enforcement officers here. But have your ducks in a row, know your stuff. You can certainly have a conversation with them about it. And if they're willing to listen, you can educate them a little bit about it. But let me tell you, make no mistake about it. Local law enforcement, state law enforcement, federal law enforcement, unless it's the FAA, I will tell you this, they do not control the airspace. The only agency in the United States that controls the airspace is the FAA, and they regulate it. No city, no county can tell you what you can fly, where you can fly when you're in the NAS, which is the National Airspace. And this, if you follow the industry, it's going around. But unfortunately, a lot of cities don't understand this, and they're getting educated that no, city council, you do not control the airspace. We do. And you only own what's on the ground. You do not own what's in the air. And I have access to it just as much as a man pilot does. And it's just going to take time. It takes education. Matt knows. Even people, they're getting more used to it. It's less. And I'm more confident about it. But I used to, and I still do, just because I'm tired of we've been questioned before, even like security one time. I'm just like, you guys don't even know what you're talking about. But you kind of try to find locations. I just don't want the hassle.
Right.
And it's unfortunate.
You're trying to find a spot where you're not that obvious.
Because I could literally launch right in the middle of a crowd.
Right.
As long as I was following rules, as long as I was legit. But I don't want to do that because I don't want the attention. Yeah. But it is getting better. I am getting confronted less just because, like anything new, people are a little bit apprehensive about it and don't really know about it, and they think they know about it and think it's illegal, or, you can't fly over my house. No, I can. And you do not own the airspace. People don't realize that. I can fly just like a manned airplane. They fly over your houses all day. You don't challenge them. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's funny if you think about it.
I get an orange vest.
Dude.
Next time I'll just put an orange vest on.
There was, dude. It's funny. You get an orange vest that says pilot or, and a hard hat.
Observer.
Nobody
hard hat,
F's with
a
you,
whistle,
dude.
maybe even.
Yep. You can shut down roads. Seriously. There's been some YouTubers that have done it. They just went out to see what they could do. They were directing traffic and everybody's just like, it's a truck and there's yellow light and some orange vest, dude. You could literally lead them off a bridge. Like, go this way and people just be driving off the bridge, dude. They were doing, I forget which channel that was. They were doing some funny stuff. Yeah. All you got to do, they put a hard hat on a vest, dude. You can walk in places that you're not even supposed to walk into. Just like the media pass badge, right? Mm-hmm. Put a media pass badge on, dude. You're golden. You're in, dude, like Flynn. But it's funny what the people, but yeah, we do. That either is good, it recognizes you more, or you can just say certified pilot, or there are a lot of pilots doing that. Anyways, my God, you're right. Either people checked out or the people that are really interested. And I know there's still a lot of things up in the air there for you guys, but like I said at the beginning, that's either going to make you go, I don't need that hassle in my life. I don't need all those hassles, or I'm into it, or you know what? I live way out in BFE near the mountains, and I only want to take it camping and hiking, then have at it, because you are going to have very little stress in your life about it's just if you're going to be around cities, towns, where you're going to really have to dial in your knowledge of airspace and what you can. I need to get the cinematic shots, so I need to fly in areas that are normally restricted without getting pre-authorization. So you're glazing over, dude. A couple times there, you were just glazing over, bro.
It's a lot of information.
I know.
A lot of information.
That's why this episode, I'm like, dude, it's almost 2 hours. I was like, I don't know, dude. And I could say a whole, I stopped a lot there and you kept me out of the weeds on some stuff because we didn't even talk about, you could get into cameras and
yeah. You have to keep in mind this is a biker podcast and it's about motorcycling. So
yes, this
is something that we use, and I think that,
and we know some other members and patron members that are into drones.
And I think as like I mentioned earlier, GoPros were a big thing, and now everybody's got one. Drones are a big deal now. We're starting to get to a point where everybody has one,
or they're
people
asking
are always
about
trying to step up their game. So I think this is a good podcast where those that are interested in making their documentaries or their short videos more impressive are going to want to step up to a drone. You always want to go to that next notch, and I think this thing was loaded full of content.
There's other geeks out there like me that ride motorcycles, dude.
Like I told you, there's guys that went drone, not listening, and then there's people that have been on their edge of their chair this whole thing. So,
or they're flying one and going, oops.
Yeah, great
shit.
info.
Yeah.
I learned a lot. I mean, I'm there with you, helping you fly these things, but
watching my back and helping me visual observe it. Yeah, you're good at that. You're getting better at that.
But just listening to what you're saying, I learned a lot in this podcast too. So.
Yep. And that's the last thing. While we're talking about that real quick, I glazed over it. We talked about visual line of sight.
Yeah.
That is the FAA rules right now. As what you guys are going to be doing. And for our industry, they want you to keep it within visual line of sight. That means they expect that you will be able to see, not on your controller, not first person, and without aids. So without binoculars, they want you at all times to maintain visual line of sight so you can look up in the sky and see. If you fly beyond that, you're technically out of the good graces and the regulations.
Which helps if you have an observer there with you to watch. Yeah, because if you're sitting there running the controls trying to look at the drone,
visual observer helps a lot. You can be both. And I do a lot, but I've been flying for a long time.
Yeah.
I've been flying for a long time. But and you get good there. I teach.
Well, there's times where I can't see it, and you're like, "Oh, there it is." I'm like, got it.
It's scanning techniques, and I teach all my police guys that are videos. But the other thing is that as we're winding down, no, you cannot fly at night. Okay, that's a civil twilight. So an hour after sunset to an hour before sunrise, you cannot fly. Now I can, but I went through. It's kind of like. I'll relate it to this. And it's not because I'm police. I did this before I was a police officer.
Because of your license, your 107?
No, you have to get it's complicated.
You have an endorsement, basically?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's complicated. I know how to write it up. And at night, if I do fly at night, I have to have a visual observer. I can't get by with just me. Mm-hmm. And you have to tell them how you're going to do it safely. And I've got to have an anti-collision strobe. And not everybody gets it. I had to try 3 times, and it was a complicated mess. But you can get airspace waivers, like me. I have an airspace waiver. So everything I talked to you about, where you have to go through the link system, I don't have to do that in this city, because I got a countywide waiver where they trust me.
Who the hell do you get that from?
From the FAA.
Okay.
Yeah. So you get a waiver that says I will fly. I still have to follow the altitude. So like if, let's say one grid says right now, instant authorization, you can fly to 200 feet. I can do that. I just don't have to hit the app and actually let them know and get a authorization back. I can just go fly because I have an airspace. I've proven through my submission and all that I know what I'm doing. And so I have an airspace waiver. So I can just go fly in those areas because I know what I can and can't do and what areas I can fly and what altitudes. Same with night. I can go fly at night, but I have to have my anti-collision light. I have to have my visual observer. There's some other things too that I have to have in place. But that's, most people, I'm telling you, don't even try to get that. It's very difficult. And I about tore my hair out trying to get it. So there are, but yeah, the general guy, you're not flying at night, and you're not flying beyond visual line of sight. There's waivers for that too and stuff. I don't have that.
You're kind of a big deal around here,
dude. I'm not a big deal, but sometimes I refuse to give up on getting what I want.
Oh, what? What? I don't believe that at all.
For so many years.
Don't believe that at all. Not at all.
So there you go. It is fun, guys. If you like to fly.
It's fun to watch, I'll tell you that, just to watch the videos
and Lurch doesn't know, but it's going to come up when he, hopefully he's going to be retiring and he's going to be working for LAB a lot more hours. We're going to have to discuss that.
Oh, well.
And we have.
Well, that's good. There's going to be
about getting a little more knowledge.
There's going to be an incentive pay if I have to be a
hazard
pilot.
Pay, dude. Yeah, you need hazard pay.
Yeah, you're going to pay me to be a pilot.
What if I buy you your own bomber jacket, goggles, and a scarf?
Ooh.
It comes with it, dude. I'll even get you flying
and maybe
leather.
Do
you want a goose?
Pipe?
What if I get you a goose? You can be Goose, and I'll be Maverick.
No, Goose dies, dude.
Dude, but you're kind of like Goose. I'm kind of like Maverick, dude. I'm good looking. I'm handsome.
No.
Great balls of fire.
No, Goose dies. Not a good thing.
Okay. So tell me this. What would I have to get you besides hazard pay, dude?
That's all I want. It's hazard pay.
Dude, we can't do pay. I want to give you some.
What?
Dude, that's not like personal, dude.
Then I need some stickers for my helmet, like the Red Baron hat or something, some kind of, every successful flight I get a sticker on my helmet.
What if I play this for you?
It's pretty good.
And you have your bomber jacket. What do you think?
Can I buzz a tower? Can I do a flyby on the General's daughter?
Oh, you can fly. You can do whatever you want to the General's daughter. How about that?
Hey, there's another one that's coming out, by the way.
I know. With 80-year-old Tom Cruise.
Well, he still looks like he's 30.
He's 80 or something, dude. I don't know.
He's been taking some enhancements, I think.
I think so, dude. All right, guys.
Okay, hey.
Woo! I like those, though, because
thanks for hanging in there.
I will just tell you guys, I had 0 show notes for that.
You wouldn't need any. Your amount of knowledge in drones is insane. I just was doing my best to somewhat keep up.
Here's what I told Lurch prepping for this episode. I said, all I want you to do is from a motorcycle biker's perspective. If you were thinking about getting a drone, write a list of questions that you would want to know and then just ask them to me, and I'm just going to peel from my brain.
And
dude.
I tried, and even then you started going off on some
I do, dude.
techie shit
I
that
can't
was too
help
much.
it. I can't help it because I feel like I'm not explaining it right, but you're right. I think you did a good job at keeping me on track and keeping me out of the weeds.
I tried.
All right, guys. Very good. We're done. Oh, my God.
3 hours later.
You were glazing over a few times, bro.
Oh, yeah, my eyes are just getting kind of dry,
I know.
actually.
That's a good excuse, but I think you tuned me out a couple times.
No, I did not. No.
I think you were like, shut the frick up.
No, contacts are just getting a little bit dry.
Oh, that's funny, dude. Thanks for sticking it out with me.
Yeah, buddy.
It's been a long day. Been a long day. Filmed a live video
hours.
today. We did some other miscellaneous. We had a business call this morning with a company that hopefully in the future we won't name, that we'll be working with. We'll see if that works out. Then we did a live on Senna.
Yep.
We did a live on, if you're interested in the
HD high def speakers.
Yeah, the add-ons or replacements for your Senna. Yeah, upgrade for your Senna 20S, 20S Evo, 30K, and 50S. If you're interested in upgrading those speakers to some actual high-definition speakers, we tell you everything you need to know. We just did a pop live, and I just, kind of like that, I just went off what was in my brain. And there are some limitations, depending if you want to integrate with the boombox system, some software things. But if you're at all interested, we do sell them in the Law Abiding Biker store. They are a awesome upgrade. They're really good sounding.
Very noticeable.
Very noticeable.
Opens up the frequencies. You hear more bass, more treble, more mid-range.
Yeah, I was impressed.
Yeah.
For what are we selling them for? 40 bucks?
Something like that, 39 bucks. Something. Let me look while you're talking.
But I will tell you this. Go to the listing in our store and make sure they're the Senna HD headset speakers. Make sure you watch the video because there are some caveats to it. If you have the boombox, there's not a software update yet for them to work. But if you're going straight phone to them, you'll get it. But again, I'm not going to redo it here. We don't want to sell you something if you're not happy with it. So make sure you know the limitations and whether it's going to work for you. And again, that video, like all our videos that are product specific, we embed those right on our Law Abiding Biker store listing. So you can go to the listing and you can watch it right there. You can always search the YouTube channel. Sorry, go ahead.
39 bucks. If they're worth that every day, twice on Sunday.
You should look, see how many we sold today, see if we need more inventory.
We might.
We might. They are. For that price, I mean, and the sound quality they give you.
They're so easy to swap out.
We're all doing it to our helmet. I'm going to do it to my adventure helmet because I run a 30K, a non-Harley branded Senna 30K, and I'm gonna put those in mine. Lurch is putting them in his helmet. In fact, you finished installing those. Yeah, they're in. Nice, bro.
Yeah.
You can wear that in your pickup on the way home.
I'll just put my helmet on. It's a little wintry here this evening, so I did not ride.
No, it's icy. That would not be good. All right, guys. Thanks for sticking with us. I know those of you that did, it's because you wanted to be here. But the rest of you abandoned me and my rambling early on. So I don't blame you. I'm a nerd. I'm a biker, but I'm a total nerd. Lurch is becoming more of a nerd.
Oh yeah, I'm getting there. I have nerd capability.